Yeah.
Sorry that I haven't been stalking fighters yet. I will be, though.
Yeah, dude.
And speaking of, we're getting into the #1 stalker podcast on YouTube, the UCF podcast, where every single week we stalk the MMA world and love women.
Wow, dude. Welcome to the Owarida edition. Owarida means it's over in Japanese. And what's over is Alex Perez's UFC career.
Wow. Let's get into it. They're actually...
Don't say things like that.
Actually, why are they calling this a KO TKO?
That's what they said. That's what they announced it
as. Standing back control leg injury.
Total knee out is what TKO stands for, I think.
Yeah, his whole knee did fucking come off.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened.
I mean, what you're looking at here was a fight that was really solid for Perez in round one. Like, I think very distinctly he wins round one, you know, unless the judges are smoking the normal amount of reefer they're smoking. And in round two, Taira is going hard. He's grappling well. He manages to get up on his back, kind of latched onto him, and he puts his one leg like behind one of Perez's left leg, I believe. Grabs his wrist to get some leverage and goes for the lean back, and in doing so puts all of the weight of both fighters onto his right leg, which then causes what might be described as a boo-boo on either his knee. I think it was probably his knee. I'm sure we could look it up. It's probably been confirmed, but it could have been like a bad groin injury as well, or some combination of both. Taira kind of gets on him, flips him over, going to start punching, and Perez is like screaming in agony, and then the judge stops it, and Taira almost seems kind of confused, actually. It was kind of funny, but it was pretty brutal to watch. I don't think it was on purpose. They were really trying to push that idea that it was deliberate. I do think Taira was like, you know, maybe that was in like the back of his mind kind of, but I don't think that he went down and thought that Perez's knee had just exploded when in fact it had.
Yeah, probably one of the best finishes you could have possibly had at the very end of what was a card. Hold up. Just let me double check. Let me double check, because they're putting this on here as a KO as a technicality, since obviously no one actually got punched in the head.
Yeah.
Top to bottom of this card, not a single knockout.
Nope.
This was the perfect type of finish to end this card, so that we would have like no real KOs throughout. We had to wait. We had to sacrifice, you know, to 6 hours of our life, to be able to watch live. We're really not.
You can actually pinpoint the moment in which Alex Perez's career ends.
You really can. And just the core strength on Taira, because he tried to do it. It's like a takedown that he's doing. He's on Perez's back. And I do actually want to say this before I, you know, rant a little bit more about this finish. Perez did take round one, and Taira was using this sort of longer karate kickboxing stance. He was looking to fade away and move in, and you know that sort of in and out, almost like I mean, everyone thinks Wonder Boy when they think karate. Kind of what he was up to. Perez was just getting in his face, throwing combinations, making it dirty, landing more shots. And after round one, I was worried, because we obviously had picked Taira, and I kind of like Taira as a fighter, and it looked like he was getting beat up. Once he was able to get to those grappling positions, once he was able to start taking the back, and Perez stood to his feet, got to the middle of the octagon to make sure Taira was using that leg strength to stay on his back. Taira was just a spider monkey, dude. It was not a problem to hold on to Perez at all. Before the finishing sequence, he tried it once before, but I don't think he had Perez's hand trapped, where he leaned like straight perpendicular with like Perez standing up straight. Taira's like doing he's doing a fucking pole dance off of Perez, trying to lean him off balance and throw him to the mat, which is what he does with the finishing sequence. But I'm going to make sure to edit in both times that he does this. I'll probably edit in the knee snap too, because you guys want to see that.
Yeah, just have that playing repeatedly.
Just repeatedly knee snapping. But yeah, one of the worst things that can happen to you in a mixed martial arts fight. Lots of guys can recover from a knockout. It's really hard to recover from your knee exploding after the year of 30 in your lifetime. So really, really sucks for Perez. just a sick finish. But legitimately, Taira may have ended his career.
Yeah, like that's no joke at all. And Tyra is honestly just a menace in the division. He just said at the end in his post-fight interview, he said, "Just line up the entire division," you know. And I think he's got a serious shot at taking all that division. It's kind of
If
fucking crazy. 6 fights, 6 wins. Not the craziest thing on planet Earth, but this is a guy who's looking good after 6 wins.
Well, and I think he's 16-0 now professionally. So
Yeah,
even outside of the UFC, he has never been defeated. Very impressive. Last night, I was getting a little excited. I was saying, throw him at Pantoja. He can do it. Um, Now in the morning, remembering that Perez was kind of bullying Tyra a little bit with combinations getting in his face. I think Pantoja probably would push him around, but you give him 1 or 2 more fights and he's there.
yeah, absolutely.
So moving into our co-main event, uh, we got a W for Clark and we got an L for Francis on
Yeah,
this one.
but
This was one
really, I think we
we
all
split
lost
on.
because this one kind of was.
This was one of the better fights, honestly.
I don't know. I didn't like it.
There were long stretches of nothing happening, that I will admit, and every once in a while, Johns would just hit Andrade, and Andrade would like half fall to the mat and immediately jump up like nothing had happened.
Yeah, there was a lot of
Um,
that last night.
yeah, there, and you know what sucks too? This fight 100% on the feet, and it's still just not delivering at all. These are two guys who are power punchers, very muscular. When they hit each other, they were clearly hurting each other. Silva hurt Johns hurt Silva, but not a lot got going. Neither one of them could establish dominance, even though if you look at these numbers, like, okay.
Yeah, did you just look
Round,
at him? I
well,
was looking at
like
him.
the big thing that I was looking at here was Johns is like really pulling away with it in round 2. But when you realize that he only landed 7 strikes in round 1,
Right? Like that first round is just it's almost comical. Like 12 significant strikes to 7 significant strikes, and he throws 8. It's like, oh boy. That's kind of why I've been, but I was like, I don't really not a lot going on at this one. And at the same time, Johns is like I'm not, Silva's good to some extent. He's not like he's bad, but he's pretty old. And the fact that Johns is like throwing 8 punches against this guy in round 1, I don't know. It doesn't really even seem to make him look very good when he wins that fight, when that's how he's fighting against who he's fighting against.
and in the post-fight interview talking about how he's finally looking in the octagon like he does in the practice room, I think you should go back to not looking like he does in the
Yeah,
practice room.
or like close your eyes or something, man.
But yeah, nice win for Shel Silverstein. Shout out to those
Yeah,
who actually watched the predictions.
we're making references. He really does look like it.
You got to tune in. But yeah, so nice, good pick for Clark there. We're gonna have a scoreboard going up, hopefully,
Yeah, maybe.
for who's picking what. Right now, we both picked Tyra, so it's 2-1
Yeah,
for
and
Clark.
we can just end right here, I think.
Nope, we have to keep going, I'm afraid,
Oh,
because
no. All right. So
we
for this
had,
one, you're gonna put Vegeta crying, but it's gonna be like UCF is gonna be on his forehead or something.
no, I don't think we have to take too much of an L on this one. The commentary team was hyping up Twilight Kwamba. This was the twilight of his UFC career, getting his ass beat twice in a row. Lucas Almeida was coming off of 2 losses, and in his post-fight interview, you could see the guy was just ecstatic to be back in the win column. And he's not the only one. 2 weekends in a row, we've been saying these are your 50% off sales. After the fight, we'll get to another one of these fights. I believe it was Fugit who beat Kinlan. Fugit afterwards in the post-fight interview is like, I knew I was fighting for my job. I knew we both were. It's like, yeah, these are a lot of guys coming off of losses. And sometimes it's really hard to figure out who's learning from their losses and who's not. Because Timmy Kwamba is supposed to be the younger guy who should be learning faster, and instead only attacked with like a straight 1-2. And he's really fast. The commentary team are, they're really hyping it up. Look how fast he is. He is super fast. He's just also super hittable and only moving in on a straight line. So a guy with any counters or, maybe a little bit of power just has to catch him when he's not getting out of the way or coming in on a straight line, and then do what he did, which was drop Timmy Kwamba how many times throughout this? Okay,
Oh,
we're giving one knockdown. That would probably be in the first round, but Kwamba was getting hurt like every 5 minutes at
yeah,
the least.
he was getting rocked repeatedly. And I think the worst part about this fight to me was that Kwamba in round three actually just like suddenly turned it on, and in my opinion, like clearly wins round three. It's almost like Almeida got a little tired and Kwamba like sensed blood in the water kind of, and then actually started fighting. But where was that in round two and one? You know?
Well, right, and like he wasn't just throwing the same technique over and over by the
Yeah.
time he got to
It's like he
round three.
finally warmed up in round three. It's sorry, but it's a little late.
Yeah, and for a younger guy just perfect name, right? Timmy, little Timmy.
Oh, hello, Tim.
Little Tim very clearly had some nerves going in because if you're only throwing what is probably your fastest, best technique over and over, it's just because you are hoping that it works and you're looking for something that works because you're panicking. Um, I don't know if they'll cut him. He's two losses in a row in the UFC.
I
He's
could
kind
see
of
them getting one
just got
more.
in.
Yeah, like this is his second fight in the UFC. They might give him one more. He'll probably be on another bargain bin thing. They'll feed it to a guy they want to win. But
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully he can turn it around. I don't think he will, but let's be hopeful.
And also, just in case you were thinking Almeida was looking like a world beater, he had 35% accuracy in his strikes. This man was on a mission and refused to stop throwing punches. Out of almost 200 punches, he landed 70. And sometimes that's all you need to be able to beat the shit out of a prospect. Just don't give up, keep punching.
Yeah, not giving up. Big theme for this fight night because especially when we talk about the next one here.
Ooh, boy.
Oh
Yeah,
boy, the
absolutely.
humiliation
So,
round for me.
haha. So this was another fight that we differed on our picks for. Uh, you saw Brady Highstand losing to Tercios on his record, and you thought, not on my fucking life. I ain't
No,
betting on that boy. And I saw Garrett Armfield beating Brad Katona and thinking, that's pretty good. But I've seen Brady Highstand fight before. I know the guy is good. They're calling him a submission ace. He wins by submission. He was probably knocked out in this fight, and just
okay. Can we
give it.
say it? Can I get it out of the way?
I really hope you do.
If it was fucking last week with Cannoneer, what would
They
have
would have
happened?
stopped it.
It would have been over. But all of a sudden, oh no, this ref. And don't get me wrong, that was absolutely, I think, the right decision because he had a chance to come back and he came back. But I just really wish that opportunity would be given on kind of like an equal playing field, right? If this guy had been there last week, he would have lost the fight.
Where was Chris Tognoni?
Yeah,
Um, but no, this was an awesome fight. Actually, this was one of the better ones.
yeah,
These guys were both throwing. Garrett Armfield hit high stand with just such a beautiful shot. I'm going to include it because he sits down on he like falls like he's KO'd
yeah.
immediately, and then, but, and this is the important part. Immediately, intelligently defending himself. Like the second he hits the mat, he's awake, and back to his feet and fighting. Highstand's biggest problem is that he gets hit and he doesn't have a chin, so he gets dropped.
Yeah.
But he wants to be in those sorts of firefights, and then he jumps onto his wrestling, and he really did put a pace in this fight. Highstand always looks tired when he's fighting because he's just going so fucking hard, and he's hoping the other guy's going to get just exhausted, and it paid off. It took him until round three. But he ended up finding that submission finally after I believe it was in round two. Yeah. If you look at these numbers for round two, notice that Garrett was hitting a whole bunch more than Brady.
Yeah.
That's when he got hurt, and really did pour it on, but wasn't able to finish. It's really the inconsistency with referees is tough.
I stood up in the room we were in. I like stood up and like was gonna like walk away because I thought he was knocked out, and then he wasn't knocked out, and I was like, oh okay. Sucks. We talked about the inconsistency with the refs repeatedly on this podcast. I think I'm going to keep hammering it on because I think it just sucks ass for the athletes. I think it sucks ass for the fans. I am happy. I think the ref made the right decision here, but I really wish that was like, I don't know, just a uniform thing that refs would do. That they all knew what to do and when to do it, and they all would apply it pretty equally so that the fighters could have, fair fights every time.
It would be nice. It would be nice. And like that's the thing though, is that if he had stopped that fight the way he had fallen, I think we would be less angry than we were about the Cannoneer
Yeah,
stoppage.
like there was
It
definitely
is
an
just
argument there to end it, and I know. I guess we'll just never get over the Cannoneer stoppage because that was he was like look comparing these two, put them side by side. You're brave. You're an editor. You know how to edit things.
Ooh.
Put
Yeah,
Cannoneer standing up, like hands go up, movie to this guy
I'll,
actually going
I'll
like
have him
sitting down.
throwing the punch at right as Herzog is going to stop the fight.
Right,
And then I'll have I stand on his ass,
actually
clearly
sitting
out
down.
cold.
Yeah,
Yeah, and not getting the fight stopped. It is weird, right? Because is the standard 17 unanswered elbows? No,
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 it's
it's
not
not.
that either.
So why is it getting tagged on the feet sometimes the fight gets stopped? Um, there are there are always caveats, right? Brady Highstand was not 40. So, but is the referee supposed to give a shit about that?
That's the
No, they're
thing. Do
not.
we? Yeah, like as far as we know, they're not supposed to care. They might care on a personal level, but again, should that like personal belief, I guess, be influencing the outcome of a fight like that? I don't know.
The answer is genuinely no, because the people putting money on the fights are not being told that if the guy's old, we'll stop it earlier.
Right?
That's not
Yeah,
a
like
rule.
I don't know. It was a good fight.
Um,
High stand looked really
yeah,
good. Armfield honestly didn't look bad at all. He did
nope.
seem to get more tired a little faster. It's like High stand was definitely a couple rungs up the ladder in grappling, but Armfield wasn't just letting him have it. But then at round 3, he was a little more gassed, a little more tired, and I think it was just inevitable at that point there was going to be a slip up, unless Armfield could have dropped him again in round 3. So whatever. I'm never allowed to pick again. It's fine.
So on the two fights that we disagreed on, we both got one so far. So not doing too bad on the picks.
Yeah, but the next one, we didn't need any disagreement at all.
No, no dissension was necessary because Asu Almabayev was unstoppable. Jose Johnson had one plan. He had one plan throughout this entire fight. It seemed pretty clear that his entire camp had been training one technique that he was so sure was going to win, and that was the triangle
He
choke.
loves triangles.
That, or he was watching the prelims where a guy got a triangle.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh,
But
I should do that." Oh.
yeah, oh wow, that's a great idea. In between rounds, his corner trying to get him to stop, him telling his corner, "No, I can do it." Just a great way to get 30-27 by a dominant wrestler with
Yeah,
back muscles that were made of marble. Like
Almabayev.
the strikes in this match, come on now.
Yeah, this
Like
was rough for
nothing.
Johnson. Like I don't know how with the reach that he has and the height advantage that he couldn't at least get a little closer on some of these strikes. It's kind of crazy. Almabayev almost kind of reminded me a little bit of Taira. Like he was doing similar things, not the same things, but he was looking good in a similar way. Um, I'm just saying, they're both at flyweight. I'm just like potentially at some point, maybe not
Ooh,
anytime
yeah.
soon, but that could be an interesting matchup. But Almabayev was just looking crazy. Maybe it's just his opponent wasn't super great. And that being said, I guess Johnson did actually defend quite a few submission attempts. Like Almabayev was absolutely dominating him, but hey, he didn't get submitted. He got decided against, so I'll give him that. He gets some brownie points.
Absolutely. Also worth noting, 6 of 11 takedowns for Almabayev, 1 of 1 for Johnson. Whoa, look at that. 100%
He's got
accuracy.
100% accuracy. Wow.
Yeah.
Give this
And
guy a
then
title shot.
he got like 1/10 the control time. Yeah, 125. And actually, again, haven't mentioned this yet. This was the little man card. This has been nothing but very lightweight divisions. The heaviest guys we had on the card were welterweights. Down at 125, being a grappler is the meta. And it is the meta for a number of reasons. And the biggest one is that the more weight you carry on your body, the easier it is to knock somebody out. Because like a heavyweight still has a human brain. A 125er still has a
Pretty
human
sure.
brain, which presumably has like a similar range to turn it off. So when you weigh 125 pounds, it's a lot harder to generate that fight ending punch. But it's like very easy to throw 125 pounds around. So if you're one of these like crazy grapplers who has, I mean, think of what a fight between Almabayev and Taira might look like. What if Taira is like actually working off of his back effectively because it's 125 pounds and you can't just lay on a dude? Like that is a good fight.
Yeah.
And oftentimes people see, grappler versus grappler matchup, or they see a dominant grappler in a division, and you just roll your eyes. You really hope they get knocked out. You really hope they tear their MCL. Like something terrible happens.
No, no.
but down at 125, these guys are like so. I'm sure we'll get to one of these fights, but I remember you saying this guy is so fucking squirrely.
Yeah.
All of these little 125ers, all the little 135ers, these guys are squirrely, their game. And just because they get taken down, that doesn't mean the round is over for you, the viewer. So Asu Almabayev continues to look just basically unstoppable with his wrestling. He doesn't play any stupid games. He just takes you down and wins. So yeah, very impressive
Central
performance.
Asian, baby.
Yeah, that's right. And that was, oh yeah. So now we go to, I believe this was the start of the main card. This was our heavy guys, our welterweights.
These guys are huge.
Adam Fugit versus Josh Kinlan. I was actually pretty sure Kinlan won when this fight was done. And it was close. It was a very close fight. Now, obviously, Fugit was getting ahead in the striking numbers. Kinlan was landing the much harder shots, I thought. And it was close.
Yeah.
I wasn't mad when it ended, but
it seemed like, I don't know, like you're right, I think, about the damage. I guess there were more strikes for Fugit, but if it's a damage-based scoring system, which it allegedly seems to be, I think Quinlan probably would have won rounds 1 and 2 at the very least. Round 3 wasn't looking as good. But
no, he was fading by 3.
Yeah, he was definitely tired, but I could have given it to Quinlan. But yeah, I mean, whatever. I'm not gonna bring out the robbery calls.
No, and this was another fight that even though these guys were throwing a whole big bunch, it really didn't get moving, didn't get off the ground. And this is like another super low accuracy fight. Neither one of these guys even landing half of what they throw. So is that because the defense is really good, or is that because these guys are a little gun shy because they're all coming off of losses? Can't say for sure. This one, even though they kept it on the feet for most of it, again, not that exciting. But when going to Adam Fugit, we didn't pick this one right, but honestly, not that impressive of a win for you to really be mad about it.
Yeah,
it's not like anything happened that we
don't slash our tires, please.
You don't have a car yet.
I got a car.
Yeah, you got a car now.
Yeah. Whatever.
Damn,
we got. Do you want to talk about my car, or do you want to talk about Nate Maness beating the shit out of Jimmy Flick?
Yeah, I do want to talk about that because this was another one we called right. Jimmy Flick just couldn't get it going. There were a few moments where he tried to get this fight to the ground, wasn't able to get anything going there on the feet. Nate Maness was just beating the shit out of him. It not like running away with it, but like I was saying before, at least he's hitting above a 50% clip of the shots he's throwing, landing 139 at a 234 total strikes thrown. To his opponents, only like 41 of 80. He really did start running away with it. Round 2, especially. Jimmy Flick was beat up. He did not look good, and Maness didn't look like he was in a fist fight by the end of it. Pretty one-sided.
Yeah, not much more to say about it, unfortunately. But hey, good job, Maness.
Yeah.
All right, thank God. Now we can finally get to the real part of the fucking whole night.
Really? Like, this is the most... We were saying...
Thank you, women.
Thank you, women. We called the wrong women's fight to throw onto the main card, even though that other one wasn't all that bad either. Carly Jadis versus Gabriela Fernandez had the best punches all night.
Yep.
Had the most exciting action. Look at these numbers. Look at the numbers that these girls are getting. We got 169 of 323, 119 of 234, and those are the significant strikes, okay? We're hitting at a 50% clip on significant strikes. Gabriela's takedowns didn't exactly work out, but they mostly kept this on the feet. Gabriela Fernandez getting the W. I don't disagree with that call. A lot of people online
are not happy.
And that's largely because of the striking number differential at the end of the fight. But if you take these round by round, she's not running away with it. And I'm gonna put a little montage in here. I'm gonna find like the 3 best punches, or I'm gonna cut this out if it's too much work to edit. I'm gonna find the 3 best punches of Fernandez, and you can look at that, and that's just kind of that's how she was hitting Giudice throughout the fight.
Yeah.
Giudice was putting together those pop, 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 like combinations endlessly. You're like going for it. And she was going for it, but she was getting bloodied up way, way faster. And I think if you just watch the way that Gabriella holds her arms, there's just a way that someone holds their hand sometimes when they have they really have power. And it's almost just like in the locked, loaded, and ready position. Gabriella holds her hands like she's ready to really try to take your head off, and she was turning Giudice's head around. I think in one of her punches, she actually did spin her all the way around. So I'm not mad about this one.
Yeah.
I think the right girl got the win, and it was the best fight of the night.
Honestly,
Honestly,
this was fight of the night for sure. I'm like really happy for these two because this was Giudice's first fight, right? It's too bad she didn't win, but like that kind of showed in your opener. I'm gonna be excited to see her fight again. And Fernandez, she comes back. She lost twice, so I'm glad that she's probably still gonna be in it. You know, like this is a good fight, good WMMA fight. I don't know. I think these ladies got that dog in them.
Hell yeah, and they both picked up $50,000 for that fight of the night
Right?
bonus.
Deserved.
Deserved.
That's
Absolutely.
why we love women here.
They really did save the card.
Like, they did a little bit. Like at that point, I was like, all right, thank God.
Now for shit we didn't call, Jekka Seregi versus Weston Wilson. I mean, we were pretty upfront during the predictions video. A lot of these guys, unknown elements.
We're coping now.
Oh, I'm coping enormously. Weston Wilson in the back as they're showing the fighters warming up. I saw Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in the back of Weston Wilson warming up, and I realized that he trains at Wonderboy's gym. Shit, he might be good. Oh fuck!
Oh no! Take down the video quickly.
Now Jekka Seregi came out swinging, and if he had landed just one of those, I think that would have been it. But he was going very aggressive. He was trying to throw all of his effort into every action that he took, and that really ended up costing him because when he did get Wilson on the ground, Wilson started to lock up this triangle immediately, and Seregi went for the slam, the classic, oh yeah, you think you're going to choke me out? I'll drop you on your head. But when you're trying to like force your way, you can't muscle your way out of a lot of submissions. If you're some monster, maybe you can, right? But you probably can't muscle your way out of a submission. So picks up Wilson, tries to drop him, doesn't even hit Wilson's head,
and just
tapping pretty much right
instantly into the triangle. Like kind of just like, I mean, I don't know, that sucked. Seeing him just slot his head essentially into the triangle with that. I mean, if he had succeeded with that slam, that would have been real good, but he didn't, and he lost.
Yep. Very impressive, always impressive to see a victory where you didn't even have to throw a punch.
I did not throw.
Weston Wilson, 0 for 0.
Really? Oh shit.
Oh no, they're giving him one attempted significant strike. Sorry.
Okay, so you're full of shit. Fuck you.
But
get this guy out of here. Get this guy off the fucking podcast. You know that? Security? All right, well, now we'll see how that level goes.
That actually really hurt.
Oh my god, he's getting KO'd by his own voice. TKO.
Okay, and we're back.
Oh, we're back in. Welcome back from the ad break.
No, we don't get advertisers.
Yeah, we don't get advertisers. Hopefully we never do.
So before that, we had Costa versus Nurdanbeke. This is another one I got wrong.
Here? What happened?
What happened was Nurdanbeke was winning in these grappling exchanges, but refused to ever throw a punch. A lot like Seregi, honestly. Or no, I have to cut this part. Whatever. You know, the Kazakhstan dude. He was fighting a lot like the Kazakhstan dude.
But he wasn't.
Except he's old and he has 50 fights and he got tired. And by the time he was getting tired, he had been grappling with Costa the entire fight, and Costa had been working towards submissions throughout most of the fight. So as soon as Nurdanbeke was tired, he just cinched up his rear naked choke.
Yeah, you could explicitly see that this rear naked choke was not tight on his neck at all. Like, it probably was constricting it a bit, but he had room to get out of there if he'd had any energy whatsoever. It was pretty clear this was just like I don't want to fight anymore. Please stop the fight, ref. which is
Yeah.
kind of unfortunate given what we predicted for him. Probably not the champion of China that we thought he was.
I didn't call him the champion of China, but
you did. I think you called him that.
Run the tape back.
Watch it again.
But he didn't look terrible, and through like long stretches of this fight, he was just manhandling Costa. But yeah,
you have to throw
he
a punch.
got tired.
Like compare him to Almabayev, right? Like Almabayev was throwing punches. He's getting damage in. That Nurmagomedov had control for a lot of the fight, but if you take a guy down and do 0 damage, I don't even think the judges care. Like the takedown means something, but you didn't do any damage to him, and then you stand back up and get punched like 4 times, and it's like you've just wasted a bunch of energy. You didn't get a submission, and you didn't even get any points probably for the judges. What are you thinking?
Well, he was hoping for the lay and pray victory. I even said it like watching him fight. Oh, this is how he has 50 professional fights. He never takes any damage because he never punches people.
Yeah.
No, pretty good looking win for Costa. I don't even want to try to pronounce that fight name, but Costa's been in the UFC for a while. He's another one of these guys who picks up. Well, I actually don't want to call him a win-loss fighter. He's more of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So he's on one of his 2 steps forward right now. I don't see him getting anywhere near a title, but he's still kicking around and he's getting wins. And not a bad, like honestly, for what it's worth, he did have a tight squeeze over Nurmagomedov's jaw, and that does hurt to have
it does. Like
it
means something for sure.
But he could have got out if he was trying.
I think if he was trying a little harder, he could have done it.
And then opening up the card for us, we had Josephine Knudsen versus Julie Pilastri.
Thank God for women.
Thunder and the Psycho. Let me tell you, another fight that was pretty fun to watch. One note, Knudsen would not have won this fight if the referee had done his job. And we did in fact pick Knudsen. So, hey, you're welcome. I knew the ref wasn't going to do his job.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris Tognoni, also not stopping Heiston's fight. Thank you. The money's in the mail. But in round 2, Pilastri has Knudsen on the ground, and Knudsen, she's trying to posture up to punch her. And one of the things you don't see all that much anymore is guys posturing up for ground and pound. And there's a lot of reasons for that. The number one reason is because people are just way better at escaping in scrambles. It's harder to hold guys down. It's not just we, the fans, that hate the wrestling. Most of the fighters do too. So they're just trying to get up. Now, if you posture up to punch the guy, obviously your 2 hands are not holding him down anymore. Another thing that he can do if you posture up, if you're on your feet, is he can kick you in the head. Knudsen didn't wait for Pilastri to get on her feet. She's on her knees and she's just wildly kicking her in the face illegally. And Chris Tognoni stops it, stands them both up, takes Knudsen aside and says, "I'm giving you a strong warning for like 3 head kicks on the ground to a grounded opponent." Now, I believe those should be legal. I think you should always be doing that. But under the current rule set, not legal, but she still got away with it. So
it kind of is legal when you think about it.
So exactly what I was going to say is like whether or not a fighter cheats, sometimes I wonder is how badly they want it. That's a real bad thing to be reinforcing. Please enforce rules or get rid of them. One or the other, please.
You got to pick. You either got to actually put punishments down or they're just going to just cheat. Like, why wouldn't you cheat? You know what I mean? Like, if you can get more damage in on your opponent that way and you're pretty confident that at best you're going to get a strong warning, why wouldn't you just give it a go? I don't know. It's not good. It's not healthy. I think it would be cool to see her get in maybe like a stronger contender in the division. She's fought a couple people on their like UFC debuts. I think.
And you feel she's ready for a real challenge?
I feel like she should be given like a real challenge at this point. She won. Like she's won 2. She's won 2 pretty well. She's looked pretty good. I think they should give her like an actual decent challenge. Maybe not like anything crazy, but someone who isn't just like started at the UFC, you know?
That's a good point.
Because I want to see, like, is she actually this good, or is it just kind of, well, they, people who are inexperienced, they're etc. Because if you actually look at it professionally, she is undefeated. She's 8-0, 8-0 professionally, 2-0 in the UFC. I don't know, again, right? Is it a fluke? We're all going to find out if putting up against someone who's pretty good. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Come on, Dana.
And looking forward to next weekend. Whoa, what's going on? Join us Thursday when we break down the next fight card, Whitaker versus Aleskarov. Robert Whitaker is fighting another dude with a chin strap, but not the one he signed originally to fight. Join us next time, and don't forget,
I love women.
we love women.